Okay, let's start with positive stuff first. So, rhythm, very, very good indeed. So, that's why we're going on to something new. However, now the negative. This is the second time you did not play the resolve chord until you started doing, much later on in the video. So, I put this together in two different ways. You got part one, which shows exactly how to play it. Remember, when I demonstrated stuff in your video, I played that resolve chord that was outside the repeat symbols because it's important we do those things. So I got part one, which is it has everything written out with no repeats. And in part two, it has the repeat put in. So we're going to have you work up part one and do the same idea. You're going to spend like 10 minutes getting this as fast as you can. And then once 10 minutes are up, go to part two, add in a repetition, and try and work up to 4. At least 2 times through. And if you need to decrease the tempo, do so. Okay. So things are going to get a little weird here. Possibly. It could be very tricky because a lot of people start to have a hard time when we get to this kind of rhythm. And the reason why is because we're not playing on every downbeat. So right here, the downbeat of 3, we do not play. And this is almost the exact same rhythm the second half, except instead of having 2 eighth notes in a row for the first beat, we just have the quarter note. So it's a little more difficult, I think, but not too much more. But all throughout, we do not play on the downbeat of 3. So, we still want to keep the strumming hand going down on the downbeat, come up on the upbeat. So this means when you get to that third beat, the downbeat of 3, we're going to miss a downstroke in order to hit 2 upstrokes in a row. So there's a couple ways we could notate this rhythm. And the way I have it listed out is to make it as easy as possible to see where every downbeat and every upbeat are. So, looking here, that's everything in beat 1. This is everything in beat 2. This is everything in beat 3. Everything in beat 4. So another way we could do this is that. So, mathematically, this rhythm is exactly the same as this rhythm. You see we got 8th note, 8th note, 8th note, and then over here we have 8th note, 8th note, 8th note. Here's the quarter note, which is the length of 2 eighth notes. So this quarter note lasts the same length as this 8th note tied to another 8th note. Then we have 8th note again, 8th note here, quarter note finishes, quarter note finishes. So even though these are both mathematically the same in terms of the rhythm count, this is a little bit more difficult to read, like sight read. If you're very familiar with the pattern, no big deal. But we're going to be going over a lot of different patterns, so we're going to make this as simple as possible to ease you into the whole thing. So having it set this way, we can easily see there's the downbeat of 1, upbeat of 1, downbeat of 2, upbeat of 2. There is the downbeat of 3, which we don't play anything on in terms of like a new chord, because the upbeat of 2 rings out across the downbeat of 3. We strum again on the upbeat of 3, and there's your downbeat of 4. So the small variation in the rhythm here, downbeat of 1 is your downbeat of 2, upbeat of 2, which is tied to the downbeat of 3, upbeat of 3, downbeat of 4. So, just like the last rhythm, we only say what we play. So this little count up here, remember, each one of these represents a single eighth note. So we have we have 8 things up here, which represents 8 eighth notes. It's like a grid. So, if you can, what I want you to try and do is see if you can figure out what the count is before you hear me do it. So, doing that is really going to help you understand this stuff better. So, go ahead, pause the video, try and figure out what the count is, and, well, now I'm going to do it. So, this is what the whole count is. Let's see. Y'all count 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1 and 2 and 4. 1 and 2 and 4. 1 and 2 and 4. 1, 2 and 4. 1, 2 and 4. 1, 2 and 4. Done. Okay. So remember, we're going to keep that right hand or strumming hand moving the whole time. So it's all synced up with that metronome. Keep that foot tapping with the metronome. So that does mean on beats 3, downbeat of 3, your foot should be tapping. Your hand should be going down. And that's one of the tricky parts for a lot of people, is keeping the hand moving. We don't want to pause at any time. A lot of times people, when they learn this stuff, when they get to this chord, they'll stop the strumming, and instead of strumming down and missing the strings on the downbeat of 3, they'll strum up, and then they'll strum down on the upbeat of 3, up on the downbeat of 4, and their strumming gets all backwards and flipped around, and the smoothness starts to get lost. So, to sum all that up really quick, just copy what I'm doing. Make it sound the way I'm going to make it sound. Make it look the way I'm going to make it look. And you should be okay. Alright, let's get the old metronome clicking here. 60 beats per minute. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1 and 2 and 4. 1 and 2 and 4. 1 and 2 and 4. 1, 2 and 4. 1, 2 and 4. 1, 2 and 4. Resolve chord. Hit that chord. It sounds so much better when you do that. Alright, 120, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1 and 2 and 4, 1 and 2 and 4, 1 and 2 and 4, 1, 2 and 4, 1, 2 and 4, 1, 2 and 4, done. 180, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. 240, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, now for part 2, where we add in the repeats. I'll demo this at 200. And time for some tough love here. If you send in another video where you're not playing the resolve chord, I'm just going to reply, please do it again with the resolve chord. Paying attention to details is important, especially when we get to really difficult stuff. And we will get to really difficult stuff. So I want you to be prepared. Be prepared for it, okay? Alright, 200, demonstrating the repeats. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. I have no sound. That was a very bad start. 1, 2, 1, 2, detail. 1 and 2. how here I am talking about attention to detail. I don't even put the guitar volume back on, right? Shame on me. All right. So, any questions, please let me know. Remember, keep that hand moving. Just down, up, down, up, down, up the whole time. It's like it's your human metronome there, your strumming hand. And yeah, I think that about covers it. But another positive thing, thank you for showing the entire practice session. Very much appreciate that. That's exactly what we want. Okay, I will see you again in your next video.